you ready for this.
Gonna be fun.
You will not stand in my way.
Frostborn. Hunger. This pleases me.
I do not fear you, mortal.
Your soul shall be mine.
Don't make me laugh.
Needs a brew? Oh, I do. Feel a shredding, baby. Let the battle begin.
Hello and welcome to the 43rd episode of Trollin HGC, Heroes of the Storm podcast focused on esports and a member of the Trolls.gg Entertainment Network. I'm your host, LiQiuD, and joined as always by Goon. Bahgz isn't here today. How's it going, Goon?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Survived the jury selection process. I got out of there unscathed. Don't got to deal any civic duties or nothing. Now I can focus on my HOTS duties.
There you go. And we have two coaches on tonight. We love coaches here at Trollin HGC. So we have Kubie from No Tomorrow, and we have HeroPhysio from LFM eSports. How's it going, guys?
Pretty good, pretty good.
It's going great.
Hero?
Great to
All
be
right.
back. Thanks for having me.
No problem, man. No problem. Always fun to hear from the coaches. You guys have like unique perspective on everything, right? I think it's important in esports, in all sports, right? Managers have one perspective, owners have another, and then you have coaches with yet another perspective. So it's always important to see all the different angles. Cool. Let's see here. Before we jump into everything, I just want to thank our Patreons over at patreon.com/trollsgg. Share that with all the shows and all the trolls.gg properties. If you want a way to support us, go ahead and shoot over there and donate some money. We love that because we use that to give back to the community, either through improving our show here, improving other shows that we do, or giveaways at BlizzCon, which is coming up. Tickets go on sale Wednesday. And speaking of that, our troll of the week this week is DJ Tyrant. He streamed Bush League last night for us, and he did in Nexus feud last night with Zexers against the Gankbush squad. Check that out on our YouTube channel. Oh my God, youtube.com/trollsgg. Wow, I'm a mess tonight. All right. Yeah.
Sorry, we're all messed up. Sorry.
Right? It's like a little off tonight. It's a little off tonight. All right. We're gonna jump into some news, and the only real news we have to talk about is Rosterpacolypse stuff. And we're only gonna go over official stuff. Because I know it's hard to talk about rumors. I know it's hard. Having said that, I will be happy to talk about any rumors that Kubie or HeroPhysio want to talk about. But otherwise, we're gonna focus on the official stuff. So in NA, we have 4 changes that we want to focus on right now. The first one directly affecting Kubie, Equinox retiring and taking a break. He's out of HOTS for a while.
Yep.
There was like this weird backlash on Twitter and on Reddit, and like, you've been playing for so long and you want to take a break? Like, why? Like,
yeah. I mean his post says it all. He wants to, focus on, enjoying the game again. So, I mean, that's healthy for him to do that. So, he needs to do what he needs to do.
Well, and I agree with that. Like, mental health is so important in all sports, right?
Yes.
Whether it's esports,
absolutely.
regular sport, like no matter what you're doing, mental health is critical. And I guess it was just weird to me when a person says, I need to step back because this isn't working for me. And people are like, no, you need to keep grinding. Like, hold on, man. Like, let the guy get his head straight. Like, what?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean,
Right.
I love Equinox, but, he needs to do what he needs to do.
Right. Absolutely. Then we also have Prismat off Simplicity again, which is fair. He was there as a sub because why am I going blank?
Arrow.
Thank you. Arrow left. We won't go into that. And then Dansky and Cure both leaving Octalysis. Now, okay, I almost want to talk about a rumor. I think never mind. I'm gonna leave that alone. Nope, leaving it alone. And then over in EU, it's like right there. You want to talk about it, but nope. We gotta wait till next week. Then Mopsio left Zealots. That's the only thing confirmed so far. There's a whole Reddit thread full of other changes that might happen. And over in Korea, actually, there's been no real announced departures yet. So, go ahead, Hero. I already see you queuing up. Go ahead.
I know. Here, I'll drop an announcement for you guys. How about that? The announcement is keep an eye on the LFM Twitter account.
Do we have a date? Because I know you guys have until the rest of the week, right?
I mean, yeah, it's the rest of the week, and really, all the teams do have this full time to exercise that time. So if people are patient, you're gonna get the news eventually. Whether it's the same as maybe it's the same as Hero's Hearth. I just caught that tweet right before I came on the show here too.
So
that's it. That's all you get.
So it's interesting to me. Like, this is what I love. Okay, so teams have until the 14th to make the announcement of who's leaving, and I feel like some teams are going to use the entire time to like really consider the roster. So I guess I want to throw this to you guys as both as coaches right now. Yeah. At this point, as a coach, don't you kind of already have in mind if you want to release somebody? I'm not asking you to tell me if you are or not, but like as a coach, haven't you already figured out, okay, like if I can swap this piece or this player for another player like of this caliber, that's something I want to look at as a coach?
I mean, I've already thought about what I'm doing, so I mean,
okay.
I guess that's true.
I think as any organization, you have to take the time to do your due diligence, explore every single option. That includes every potential person out there, every free agent, every available person who's already been announced that's leaving. You have to explore the option of removing everyone, keeping everyone, everything under the sun. I think if you don't explore every single one of those options, then you're potentially missing out on certain strengths and weaknesses either way. So I think, I mean, given that we've just come straight out of Crucible and we didn't know anybody's plans, I mean, us as a team, we have to take that time to really, not rush into anything, think about things, and then decide what's best for each other and decide what's best for potentially the team.
Okay.
Yeah. How does that conversation start? How does that conversation take place when you finally do decide that, hey, we need to move these pieces around, or hey, we're looking at this? How do you guys?
Usually starts with, hey, Hero, are you around? And then I usually am, which is usually how it starts off. I'm usually online. You can usually catch me on Discord and that kind of thing. But then, I mean, everybody knows that this discussion is coming, so there's no real awkwardness about it. Right? HGC has, this isn't the first official season either, and we've been through quote unquote Rosterpacolypses before. Everybody has this conversation. Anyone who's been involved knows that these conversations are going to happen. So it's like, hey, it's time. And then you get into it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, this is my first time going through all this, so it's pretty interesting, that's for sure.
How's it been? You opened the door on that one. So how is it for your first time? How's it been?
Yeah.
Well, wait. All right. Well, answer that, and then I'll ask my question. Go ahead. Sorry.
It's a lot of learning, procedures and things, and learning, just a lot of learning really for me about what I need to do and how to do it.
All right, that makes sense.
It's such a short amount of time.
When you say learning, are you like talking about learning about the game, about interpersonal skills, dealing, with different issues, management, like
really how to manage a team properly, honestly. I've coached other things in the past. I've played StarCraft at a high level. I've been on top 200 WoW guilds, so I know the competitive, esports scene. I've been there for a while. But never have I been in this kind of position. So it's just really learning, how to navigate everything without stepping on people's toes and how to do it properly.
Stepping on toes. That never happens. Hero, I feel like this is your official first time going through this. Am I remembering?
We can say it's my first official one, especially as coach, which is something a little bit different too.
Right. Yeah, because you guys went through, just got in. So yeah, okay, all right. I'm not crazy.
Yeah, and for me, it is the same thing. I think I've got experience in different ways where I think you have to be very, very professional. I come from a healthcare background again, so there's a lot of confidentiality. If you're in any kind of a management or position where you are overseeing personnel, which in my work, I delegate some responsibilities to other folks. And so, to be able to do that, you have to evaluate all of the personnel that you're working with. So I think it takes a certain skill set that way. And if you have some of that pre-existing going into this, definitely makes that transition a little bit easier, and a few more things to look for.
Cool. Okay. Anything else anybody wants to maybe talk about around rosters? Let me know.
No, I'm just as excited about this as you guys are. I think even as coach, we're fans first and foremost. So, I mean, before I was, official coach of LFM, I was watching this stuff. I was watching all these players. I was cheering these guys on. I mean, you want everyone to do well. You want everyone to find a team that they enjoy playing for and that they will excel at. Like when I cheer for NBA teams, I cheer for teams that are supposed to be good because I want to see excellence rise up and play the way that they're supposed to so that we get the best games possible. If all of these players find the best possible fit for them, then we get the best possible HOTS. I think we all win. I think we get the best entertainment and we get stronger. And I mean, that's exciting, regardless of what happens.
Okay. That's fair.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens. I don't really know much, and I'm just excited to see what happens.
Of course, that's all you guys would have to say, right? Yeah. Okay. All right.
I mean,
I see how it is.
You can always chum the water a little bit. So before Argy goes crazy, what's the secret meaning behind the eyes?
Eyes are very telling, Eyes mean a lot of things. When you give someone eye contact, you look right into their soul. So you got to be face to face for that to happen, though. Twitter to Twitter, it doesn't quite translate as well. Twitter to Twitter just doesn't quite do it. So I mean, you got to look them right in the eye. So if anybody lives around them, then you go find them, you go look them in the eyes. You'll get the meaning.
You'll get the meaning. All right, that's fair. So you heard it here first, people. Everybody that might live near Traded, go track him down, look him in the eyes, and say, "What's up, dude?" and see what he says. Maybe, and then come back and tell us. All right. Okay, so I know we're not going to get anything else out of that, which is fine. Like, I totally understand that. So we're going to get into questions. We asked Reddit and Twitter some questions, and we're going to hit you guys with those after we play this interview bump. All right. So we got lots and lots of different questions from people. And we're just going to start right off the top. Who do you guys think are the strongest free agents in the open division that you think all of the pro teams should seriously look at? And that's from Wolfshade GM.
Oh, I can answer that question.
I'm sure you can.
No. Go ahead, guys. Go ahead. Do you think?
Well, I'm going to steal Goon's answer. I think the answer is everybody from Reborn. Is that right? Is that that's the shout out?
Oh, wow. That worked entirely too well.
Right. Goon did not pay me.
Okay.
Sponsored that.
That's a shout out to Goon's boys. I know they've been working hard. There's lots of so there are lots of free agents out there. If you follow them on Twitter, you follow other teams. If you followed Open Division, everybody's been watching. Now, for me to say who is the strongest without having them in tryouts, I don't know, because I haven't sat in on comms. I don't know what the dynamics are like. When we evaluate a player, I've got a little, I don't know, a cheat sheet, a little questionnaire, a little something that I put together. I might release that later on as the tool that I'm using to evaluate these players. But I have a lot of criteria, and without pulling them into a tryout or anything like that, it's very difficult for me to say who is the best free agent out there. That's all I can say.
That's such a HeroPhysio answer, dude. Come on.
It is, right? No, it is. It's totally a hero. Like the one thing I can say confidently is when I know heroes coming on the show, I know the kind of answers I'm going to get, which is awesome.
Okay, let's rephrase that question. I want to rephrase that question. Which free agents would you like to see get picked up?
All of them.
There you go. That's a good answer.
I don't even know why we asked this guy to be here, dude.
Wait, so I want to touch on one thing, and then I want to hear Kubie's response to that. But I would love to see the criteria you're using, just from a like my own coaching competitive soccer teams. I'm kind of curious just kind of how it equates. Totally not related to this. I'm just curious. Kubie, you don't necessarily have to tell us who you think are the strongest. I guess the way I would rephrase that question is, do you think there's quality in the Open Division that should definitely make it to the pro team?
Yes. 100%.
Okay.
I think the Open Division this season has been more competitive than it's ever been in NA. And I think a lot of players really stepped up and showed what they're able to do. So I think teams would be missing out if they didn't try out the Open Division players that they wanted.
Okay. It's interesting that you say that too, because if we look at the Crucible in EU last year, at the end of 2017, it was very competitive. And if you looked at the NA Crucible, it was competitive, but not at the same level as EU. It was still competitive. But then you looked at the Crucible at the end of Phase 1 this year, and it was clear that the NA one was much more competitive than it was last year. Yeah. To the point that I would say it was even more competitive than EU this year around. Just based on how close games were. And it wasn't like LFM did good. It wasn't a stomp, though. Like, yeah, those games could have gone either way. Simple mistake, and XD could have capitalized. And the same is true with No Tomorrow, right? If No Tomorrow had made one little mistake on that, especially in that last game, King's Gambit could have capitalized. Like, they were very competitive games. And we didn't see
APOC stall, by the way.
Right? Yeah.
Pretty good.
It was.
So, all right. Next question. What are the key areas of improvement for each of your teams to take the next step? And this is from Top Shelf Hero. Again, you guys don't have to share the super secret sauce, but you have areas you're looking at, and what can you tell us about them?
I mean, for my team, you know, we obviously lost Jason last split, and we had to bring on Jin, and we had a swap in positions there as well. And for us, it's really building that team synergy that we really haven't had the time to do because of all of the series of unfortunate events that have happened to us this season. So that's our biggest one.
Okay.
No comment.
No comment.
No comment. All of them.
No, I mean
all of them.
All of them.
Every area should be improved upon. Every single practice. No, we're the 7th place team, so obviously there are things that we need to improve on. But I don't think we are so far away that there are glaring areas that this is what we have to work on to get to that next level. I think we were very close this past split to actually taking some very big games and even some very big series. It's more refining some of those areas. I can't point to any one thing and say this is what we need to work on, and then we will get number 1 NA. It's going to be a multitude of factors, and we do have to see. And this changes a lot depending on all the other teams and how the other teams kind of fall together. I'm going to use another NBA analogy here, just because the Cavaliers just destroyed the Raptors. Is when you build a team now, you have to look at how do we beat LeBron James, right? Who's going to guard him? What's that going to look like? So for my team, it's going to be who are all these other teams, and how do we build a team that beats all of those ones, and what do we have to practice to beat all of those ones?
Okay, that's actually a very fair point.
So you said refining those things and creating a team that can beat those other teams. What would you say is your team's greatest strength right now? Ooh, coach doesn't know the answer.
I'm gonna let Kubie go first.
Oh, okay. Oh, that was directly at you right there.
No. Time out. I'm sorry. This was target. This was a question.
Oh, that's specific. Oh, okay. Are you asking what is LFM's greatest strength?
Yes.
Wait, I'm on the show. I'm right here. No, I'm kidding. So if you go on Reddit, if there are any fans out there, people have always thought that LFM's greatest strength was that, individually, some of the fans thought, and this is what fans thought, was that individually we were not standout players. It was that LFM played together, and we trusted each other, relied on our teamwork to actually win games, take games. In the absence of one true star player, again, this is what the fans think, is that you have to rely on that teamwork. And so if we can create that atmosphere, create that environment, foster that teamwork again going into this next phase, I think that's going to still be our greatest strength moving forward.
Nice. So yeah, go ahead, Kubie. Go ahead.
I have a comment on that too. Like, people, I think, in general, underestimate the power of good team synergy. You can take players that are not so, they can be like pretty average in a skill level, but they can beat out the best teams simply because they work better together.
Right.
And I think I think that's all I want to say about that, actually.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah,
Teamwork can absolutely trump stronger heroes, 100%. If your team is clicking and working, they can absolutely trump. You have all tier S heroes, and we have A's and B's. Like, you can still win with 100%. I do want to point out the top shelf hero actually asked that question for our next question. So, Kubie, you're gonna have to answer. What is your team's greatest strength?
My team's greatest strength. I would say that I'd say that we have a lot of intelligent players on our team. We have a lot of things that we haven't shown yet, that we've been working on. So stay tuned. And yeah, all of my players work very hard. They study the teams that we're playing, same as me. Like, it's a group effort.
Okay. So this question's from Halgar, and I tried to make sense of this, so forgive me if I didn't quite get it right, Halgar, or if you guys don't quite get it, I totally understand. But he was basically trying to ask, what is the one change you as a coach would ask for with how you interact with your team, your ability to interact with other teams, or the day-to-day process that you go through as a coach?
To clarify, is this about the rosters or just like general interactions with the team?
Anything. He left it really open-ended, so we're going to go with any interaction that you have, whether it's with your team, with other teams, it could even be with Blizzard. Like, what's the one process thing you'd like to see changed? As
That's a pretty tough question. It's pretty open. It's very open.
Right, I agree.
So I think with coach interactions, it varies widely by organization. It depends on who your owner is, who your 5-man team is, your manager, how that distribution of responsibility goes in your organization. In terms of direct relations to Blizzard, I can say that outside of getting my coach's account and then providing me with that account so that I have access to all the heroes for research and study, that's really the majority of the direct Blizzard access, which again I'm very grateful for. And then in terms of interacting with other teams, I mean, we run into each other in scrims. Most of the coaches are actually really cool, really down-to-earth people that you can just kind of hit up and message here and there. I can't say I do that a lot, just because you don't fraternize with the enemy too much. We kind of keep it all together. But you know what? If we all got together, I'm sure we'd all get along. And if you reached out, I'm sure some of them would return in kind too.
Okay. Kubie?
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of my answer too. I mean, with my team specifically, there's not really a lot that I'm not able to do, simply because we don't have an org yet.
Right.
We're still looking for one.
Nice.
Hint.
Hint. But yeah, I mean, really, the coach's account is pretty huge for me. So we have a really good way to study what we need to.
Okay.
I was gonna ask, Hero kind of, I guess, answered it sort of. Do you guys ever do, like, coach to coach? Do you guys ever talk, about different ideas, different coaching methods, styles? Ask each other for advice. Obviously, you're not giving away strats, right? But I mean, is there anything that you guys do between each other and not just between Hero and Kubie, but maybe another team that you guys do to like help each other out or help each other improve?
Mm-hmm.
I watch other coaches' streams. That's about it. I talk. Yeah. I contribute in their Twitch chat.
That's fair, right? I mean, it's
enough.
A very weird thing, right? Borrowing from when I was soccer coach, it was the same way. Like, there wasn't. You might go to someone you considered a mentor, but other coaches in the same leagues really didn't talk to. Like, you might observe something here or there. Like, if you ran into one of their practices running late and you could watch, you might watch, but like, you didn't chat that much. Like, you were cordial, but you didn't like, hey man, I'm running into this problem with a player. Like, how would you deal with this? Like, that kind of interaction never seems to happen. And I'm not sure if that's good or bad.
I think with each team comes its own unique challenges, and you can ask for advice if you really need it, but it's really up to you as a coach to figure out the best way to solve those problems. Because like, you are the coach, and you're the one that needs to be the one to figure this out for your team. That's just my thought on it.
That's definitely how it seems to be right now in other games too. I question whether or not, like, is that the best way for you and your team? And maybe it is, right? Because ultimately, yes, you have to figure out how to deal with your team. But I also wonder if, like, we don't need like a coach's support group, if you will, right? Where it's like, just like all anonymous, just like you just get together and talk at the end of the day, right? Like voice changers and stuff, so nobody knows what you're talking, So I don't know that's Hero with that problem, like those kinds of things. I don't know. I feel like some of that will help grow the culture, and I could be completely wrong. Because I guess when you look at like NBA coaches, they're not doing that. But maybe they are, and we just don't know. Like, that's where they're
yeah, but I mean, this is HOTS. This is Heroes of the Storm. This is eSports. We lost Hero.
Oh, Hero, no! Hero died.
Hero. He froze. First he's
I know.
late, then he DCs.
No, I know what happened. Short Steve's in chat, and he's like, "You're revealing too much. You must hang up." It's all right, man. I understand.
No, but the way I see it, this is a growing community, a growing game, a growing esport, and any chance that we get to help each other improve and help improve the quality of the players, the mentality, and the community, the better it is overall in the long run. I mean, I can understand once we get to the point where we're franchised like League of Legends and Overwatch League and stuff. Okay, maybe we're not talking to each other, but
Yeah.
Well, and that's kind of where I'm going, right? With Heroes, it's so small that maybe it makes sense to like. I don't know.
I think with anything competitive, you tend to stay not fraternize with the enemy, as he put it.
Right.
Just because you don't want them to know your weaknesses.
Yeah, that's true.
That's my main thing.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah,
I mean, HeroPhysio is known to strike at your weakness and rip your heart out. He's good at
it. So. It's why he's got a job, man. All right. Well, we're gonna keep going, and hopefully he'll be back after he reboots something. Question for the coaches: do you? And actually, I think I know Hero's answer to this. So this one actually came from Twitch chat. Thank you, Sasa Easy. Do you suggest heroes for the team to play with, builds for maps, participation? Well, I know you don't have participation matches, so I'm gonna leave that in there, but you can say no. And like giving shot calls or tips while they play.
I think as a coach, you want to give feedback about the game specifically, and things that they can improve on, or maybe draft things that we can improve on. But you're mostly there to, help build the culture of the team so that when they go in there, they're focused on winning, and being a team, and not, they have a problem with this person, or someone said this to them and they're mad about it. You kind of you build that culture of your team and make it a good environment for them to play in. I think that's the most important thing about being a coach that a lot of people don't realize that we do. But yes, we do give input. At least I do. I give input for draft strategy and improvements in game, but that's not the biggest thing I think that a coach should focus on.
Okay.
Yeah, being able to really keep everybody on the same page, keep everyone focused, because it's pretty easy in scrims and in games to kind of lose that focus a little bit. Someone can get ganked and all of a sudden they're in a mood.
Yep.
They're in a mood, It's really important to, hey, come on back, baby.
Yep.
Let's get you back here. As far as like the drafting and stuff, I'm the same way. I'll try to give some insight every once in a while if they, are kind of stumbling around or something. But part of the question was like giving shot calls or tips while they play. I don't do that. I let them communicate, let them make all the mistakes they can in a game, and then we go back and address that later. But I try not to say anything in game too much.
No, you don't want to interrupt their communication in game, definitely, because that's where they learn to build that synergy is, in practice. So if you interrupt that or interfere with that, it can hinder that from happening at the rate that it should be.
Yeah.
So you have to be really careful about when you give criticism or when you say anything.
Yeah, there's a certain flow that's going on in the game, and they're listening to each other's voices. There's a rhythm, and if you come in and all of a sudden you say something they're not expecting, that all of a sudden that whole flow, that whole chain has just been broken or disrupted a little bit, and can really throw them off.
Yep, right. Exactly. Yeah, you really have to. I don't know, like I just said, building culture of a team should be a coach's main priority, because that's what's gonna naturally build that team synergy. If they all have a good place, that they well, if they feel like they're in a good place.
Ooh, he's
Yeah,
back.
yeah. Oh, there he is.
Welcome back.
I'm back.
Oh,
Sorry, guys. Thank you.
there we go.
I'm back.
Cool. All
So
right.
did you get that question? Did you get that question? Did you hear it?
Please
He's gonna
repeat.
say no. Yeah.
Do you suggest Sasa Easy had asked, do you suggest the heroes your team's going to play with, or builds or comps on the maps, and do you give shot calls or tips while they're playing?
Yes, they never think of Probius, so it is up to somebody to bring it up. Somebody's got to think of it. I mean, if there's an obvious glaring omission that the team hasn't thought of, that maybe it's been out of the meta for a while, or the patch notes had dropped something and they just hadn't run it this week, then I'll say, hey, do you remember this? And it might just jog their memory a little bit. In terms of specific gameplay, things like that, yes, sometimes you'll see things that hey, this part here, were you thinking about this? Or have you tried this again? They're more suggestions than absolutes, I'll say. I'll never say this is what you should have done in this situation. I'll say, do you think this would have been the better option? And then I'll let them weigh it for themselves. You'll guide them to that correct answer. But again, I think, as Kubie said, your job as coach is to make sure the team is working together as a unit, and that should be the overall vision for your team, is just for you to be able to shape that and move forward with them.
Okay. Let's see. From the Tempest 11, how important are roles in a team and catering to players' comfort pit?
So like keeping people on, like, say, ranged assassin or warrior, etc.
Right.
Well, that
Or
allows them
Gazlo.
to the Gazlo main. Yeah, but keeping players on a specific role allows them to really focus on learning the ins and outs of not only each hero, but of how they need to position overall in different rotations, etc., with that specific role. When you're swapping over from, if you were someone, for whatever reason, was swapping over from a warrior to a support to a range, those all have different positioning in team fights, and just different positioning and ways you play, what you can't get away with. It allows them to really focus on that one thing.
Okay.
And really excel at that.
Cool.
Incredibly important. I mean, to hold a spot on a team, that is your position, that is your role. You are an expert at that position. You know exactly what you're supposed to be doing. And then in terms of comfort picks, that one's a little trickier. You've got a lot of one tricks out there, but at this level, let's take someone not from either of our teams, for example. Let's say Crowan, because he's just gotten an insane win rate with Hanzo, and let's say that's his comfort pick. Okay, how important is it to get him onto a hero like that? Well, pretty important, because he's got a great win rate with it. He knows what to do with it. He knows how to win games with it. And if you take that a step further, what are his other comfort picks? Well, if you take that away from him, you've got Jaina. If you take that away, you've got Li Ming. If you take that away, he's got something else. He has so many of these comfort picks that as long as you get him somebody that he's confident with, you're going to be confident in your chances to win, because you have a good win rate with every single one of these heroes. Now, if we start to take them off, which now gets into drafting and trying to choke people out of heroes, which is incredibly difficult to do if they have a wide hero pool. But if you are able to choke some people out of their quote unquote comfort picks, now all of a sudden you put them onto something that they're less comfortable with, potentially lower win rate with, potentially don't know every detail to that player's kit. Now all of a sudden you're less confident, and overall as a team, if one of your teammates is less confident, maybe you become a little less confident. So I think you definitely do want to give your team the best possible chance to win a game, and that does sometimes include some of those comfort picks, I think.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Oh, this is a good one. This is from Cheesecake Good, which, by the way, cheesecake is good. As a coach, How much do you feel like your loyalty is towards the players versus the team as a whole? Do you think being a good friend with each one is part of the job?
That's a good question.
It is. I like that one.
Well, as a coach, you're there to like I said earlier, you're there to build the culture for your team, and you want them to come to you if they need anything, if they have something they need to talk about. So of course, like you want to build that relationship with your players, but at the same time, you have to realize that they could possibly move to a different team at the end of the split, and you can't hold that against them. It's your job as the coach to make sure they have everything they need to be successful in that moment. So yes, the relationships are very important, but it's also important to realize that they, can go on to other teams if they want to, and to not. I don't know how to word this, but like not be detached, but like
you got to be realistic.
Yeah, exactly. Be realistic.
Yeah, you can't get mad that they're gonna seek an opportunity elsewhere. In my opinion, you encourage that. Hey, I'm looking at this. Yeah, I hate to see you go, but I want what's best for your growth as a player, as a person.
Yeah, that's your biggest. That's the biggest thing you should focus on as a coach is the development and growth of your players at that moment. Not, whatever they think they need to do to be successful. You just encourage them to, do what they need to do.
Right.
I think the question itself is a bit leading because it uses that word loyalty that implies if I'm loyal to someone, I will do whatever is possible for this only,
right,
and not pay attention to the other one. So if I'm loyal to the team, I won't take into account the individuals. On the flip side, if I'm loyal to the players individually because I have personal relations with them, or really good friendships, let's just use friendships, is that I am going to now start building those bonds, and now all of a sudden I'm ignoring the team. Again,
Right.
The job of the coach is to be more or less impartial. You're not impersonal, but you're not taking part in these. Let's call them, I don't know if anyone watched Survivor or Big Brother. You don't want to be part of these alliances. Your job is to make sure that you do what's best for each individual and for the team simultaneously, and that probably in itself is the trickiest balance. But that's our professional job.
Yep.
If I can draw an analogy from that, my work, I'm working in a rehab setting right now. So rehabilitation is that right now I have a duty to the people that I see to help them through their rehabilitative process. But at the same time, there are professional boundaries, and I have to, be accountable to, again, the entire healthcare team. I have to be accountable to them as an individual, to their families, to the public taxpayer. I live in Canada, so I have to be responsible in that way, and how I spend my resources. So you have to be responsible in how you manage all of these different relationships and still do your job.
Right. Okay.
I'm going to sneak in a little question here. I guess it ties into what we've been talking about. I guess establishing the culture and whatnot. How much? Well, I don't want to say how much, but how do you guys find or develop a way to ensure, maybe not even ensure, but what am I trying to say here? How much do you think your players value your guys' opinion, and in that value, how do you establish that trust for them to value that opinion?
That's a good question.
That's a great question, man. How do you prove that you are worth the trust?
Yeah. But it's something I think about. Sure.
I think showing that investment in their growth as players and in the success of the team, doing that simultaneously, as Hero said, I think that's really the biggest way to do it, is show that you're invested in their success as a team and as players.
Yeah.
Maybe now I'll actually give away some of the tricks of the trade.
Here it comes.
This one's legit. One-on-one time is actually something that I schedule with each of the players. Before mid-season, we're going to do one after the season here too, is that I will spend time one-on-one with a person, talk about their goals, talk about how they felt about this split, talk about meta, everything. We'll talk about it, everything. And I show in that way that I am invested in their growth. I'm trying to explore every detail and every aspect related to HOTS that I can, and I get to know them. They feel like they have been heard by me in all areas, and if I'm able to do that with all 5 players, and then I can take that into a practice and somehow create that environment, that atmosphere that hits upon all 5 players' needs, wants, and desires in that setting, then they all know that I'm actively trying to work at building this, addressing this issue, working on this aspect, and they can see that in the actions. And then once we get results like winning games, winning series, or that they see the other players are also, reacting off of that feedback, then they can see the results, and then you build trust that way, and then it's just important to keep going.
That's good.
Yep.
It's very much like management, right? Like almost making sure that everybody knows their opinion matters, and you're listening and trying to help them achieve the goal you've set for them.
Yeah. That's good. Someone in chat had mentioned, in esports, winning is the only thing that can buy you trust. Well, then my question to you is, how do you win? How are you going to win as a team? Like, what are you building to create that mentality of winning, of teamwork and dedication, and that's when the winning comes in my opinion. But
I think the teams that have the best culture and the best synergy are the ones that rise to the top most of the time. It's really everything, in my opinion. Having that good environment for them to grow and learn together, and know that they're also heard as individuals, it really does a lot.
Yeah, and all the stuff that we're talking about, this doesn't just apply to your HGC teams. Hey, this is your 4-man stack and unranked draft, or your 5-man team league, or your 5-man quick match, If you guys want to ARAM, this is stuff that'll help everyone be better players, better team players, and allow us to have more fun in this game. But anyways,
so
winning is hard, and I think it's gonna get even harder because now HOTS is growing so much, and everybody is so much better. I mean, the more time we spend on these battlegrounds, the more time we spend on these heroes, everybody levels up. And so I think we need to put in even more work if we want to try and win. And that means finding more drafts, finding more heroes, finding more tiny little advantages that we can keep snowballing. I think winning is hard.
Winning is
yes,
hard.
Winning is hard.
Yes, it is.
That's probably the best way to put that. On to a more fun-loving topic. Akuma asks, who would win a 1v1 between you guys?
Oh my gosh.
Akuma's a good guy. I'm a lover, not a fighter.
Okay.
But I'm also a fighter. So don't.
1v1 me, bro. That's what he's saying right there. Well, let me ask you a different question. I'm going to spin this one a little bit. If you had to 1v1, which hero would you two pick? Like,
Sonya.
All right. Hero?
Wait, I gotta rep the Probius.
Yeah, I was gonna say Probius.
Wave clear OP, trade OP.
I don't know. I think Sonya might take Probius 1-on-1. I don't know. That could be an interesting.
That's a show match in the making.
It is. My gears are already turning. I might need to see what I can set up with you guys for that. That could be fun. All right, so Akuma went light and then he went more serious. Do you believe your teams have what it takes with their current roster? This was pre-Equinix leaving, or anything else you guys might know, make top 4 rather than bottom 2? Or do you feel that only a roster swap can make you jump to a top 4 team? That's kind of loaded because, yeah, I get that that's asking if you think a roster swap is needed, but that's his question.
I can give you the HeroPhysio answer. With practice and dedication, anybody could be top 4.
There it is.
You know, I'll give you the honest answer here for my team is that when I did the one-on-ones, we legitimately had the confidence that we could have been top 4. Is that, you know, we were performing reasonably well in scrims, and we had you know, a decent idea of the meta and how to play the game. And at the end of the season, you know, coming out with two losses, actually after the first split, all the guys were disappointed. We thought we should have had some series for sure. I think they identified the mistakes and they're like, you know what, we straight up lost this one or threw this one away, and we straight up lost this one and threw that one away. Next split, we don't do that. And the guys were still very, very confident. So even pre any change, even pre-season, I think the guys were saying, you know, we're not a bottom 2 team. We are not a Crucible team. And I think they kept going into every series thinking that we are not a Crucible team. We play up to everybody's level. So
I want to touch on that a little bit before Kubie, you answer. And that's towards the beginning of the season, I may or may not have heard that you guys were actually doing really, really well in scrims. And then it was like blowing my mind to watch you guys play. Like on the one side, I'm hearing, yeah, they're crushing scrims. They're where they need to be. And then on the other side, you'd watch the weekend. You're like, man, this doesn't look like the team I hear about in scrims. So I'm glad that you guys have gone through that journey and figured out, you know, what should be done, and what needs to change. So that's awesome. That's good news. Kubie, you're on the hot seat now.
I mean,
we're all waiting.
I don't think there's any doubt that I have really talented players on my team. Same with LFM. I think we both have really talented players on both of our rosters. It's just, I don't really know how to answer this question, to be honest.
That's fair. Honestly, that's perfectly fair. It's one of those weird questions that it's like, you know, depending on what, it puts you in a weird spot, right? Because you're like, well, do I say, yeah, we totally need to replace everybody? Do I say, no, we're fine. We know we made some mistakes early on, or the mesh wasn't quite there. It took us a little longer to find our synergies, right? Like there's lots of, I don't want to call them cop-out answers because I think they're real answers too, but there's lots of ways you can say it, but it's a rough question, right? It's not a simple question. It's not like every owner out there wants you to, the default answer to be like, yes, we can make top 4. But the reality is maybe you can, maybe you can't, right? Like if you look at the teams we have, especially you guys, right? Both, by you guys, I mean both LFM and No Tomorrow. Any given team can be any given team on any day, right? That's the nature of how this works. And so if you look at your journey to where you got today, yeah, you may only show 2 wins each, but that doesn't tell the whole story, right? A lot of those losses were close. They weren't like stomp fests, right? I think outside of maybe Tempo and Heroes Hearth, and not even those, like the games were a lot closer than the scoreline shows. So it's hard to answer a question like that because it's like, well, you know, part of me wants to say, yes, I need to make a roster change because I know XYZ, but I don't want to say that because we're working on it and we haven't made a decision And then the other part of you is like, no, man, we're good. We can definitely make a top 4 team. So it's one of those, like, it's a weird question to be stuck in. So I totally get it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think with who we have, we could definitely do it. There's just, I mean, everyone has, you know, seen our struggles for the last split. So, and we're obviously working on those things. So
that's what matters.
Yeah.
I think this is the last. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I want to take this next question here, if you don't mind.
No, go ahead, man.
How often do you guys find yourselves reminding the players of mistakes that they make, or team mistakes or whatever, week after week? And is there a certain point where you say enough is enough?
Or do you just keep repeating it?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, that's where a lot of that one-on-one time comes in, to really talk to them about those mistakes and why they're happening, and getting to the root of the problem, because a lot of mistakes that people make, either habitually or just randomly, they can be fixed by shifting the way they think about something, or just talking about, like, that specific situation, and then there it is, it clicks, and they understand why they made the mistake and how it gets fixed.
I see.
Yeah, I think you have a different approach to different problems. If it's something like a mechanical problem, like let's say one of my basketball players isn't following through on their shot, something like that requires you to give them feedback about it and have them practice it over and over and over and over and over again until it becomes automatic and natural, that you don't have to remind them, reach into the cookie jar to follow through on your shot. Some other things, it can just be as simple as, hey, did you remember to do this? And then, they remember it right away. It clicks. They'll go ahead and do it. So can you reiterate it quickly before every practice? Sometimes I do. If this week all we're focusing on is 1, 2, and 3, these specific points, because these are identified that we have to work on these for the next week's match, I'll quickly go through them at the beginning. Hey guys, this is what we're working on this week. Remember, we did this yesterday, did it pretty good. Let's do it even better today.
Right on.
Nice.
Yeah, I think. I think what you identified there was, like, the difference between, like, positional and rotational errors versus mechanical errors, and you definitely do approach those differently.
Okay. How would you approach the, like, positioning error or something, I guess, compared to that of a mechanical error?
I mean, I think this is really for any team or any person that's wanting to improve. Watch your own replays. Watch and see what was happening during the game at that time when your team was like, you should have rotated at this specific time, and you're like, oh, and you see it, like, you see it from an outside perspective almost. It's you're watching yourself, but it's almost like an outside perspective. Like, watch your own replays. You'll learn a lot about analyzing yourself and how to fix your own mistakes by just watching your own replays.
But Coach, watching replays is so boring.
Wait, all right. So can we just talk for a minute about watching replays? I need to ask you this question. Do you review replays and do, like, VOD reviews with your teams?
Yes.
Okay. I don't. I feel like that's a critical piece, and I feel like if you're not doing that, you're shortchanging your team. Am I wrong, or, like?
No, you're very right. It's a lot of like those positioning and rotational errors that you identify. They don't recognize how to fix it until they see it from that replay perspective, and then they're like, "Oh, I should have been doing this."
Right.
And then if they make that mistake again, it clicks in their head as, "Oh, I need to be doing this now," and then it doesn't happen.
Right. Okay.
Here,
okay.
I'll make a non-NBA analogy. Maybe it'll be NFL this time. Every team, I don't know if you guys have ever seen like their locker rooms or like their big complexes. Every team has a film room.
Yep.
Where it's actually super comfortable, big screen, and it's for the players to go in and watch film either of themselves or of the other team. It's a little bit easier in physical or traditional sports where I have to guard this guy, so I'm gonna look and see if this guy has tendencies. In this setup, you don't always have that outside of the off lane. That's kind of the main one, but you can start to do that. You can start to queue in, watch the film, see if there's any tendencies, see if there's any advantages or cues that you can pick up on. But then from a macro perspective, from a global team perspective, you can do that to some degree too.
Okay, so you just brought me to to a follow-up I have. So we know you guys are reviewing your own film. Are you taking replays from like Master League and reviewing future team film with your teams, or are you personally doing that and then giving them like coaching notes?
I think it would be very unwise to not do that.
Okay.
If you're preparing, especially for something like the Crucible where your job is on the line, like you need to know what their tendencies are, what they ban, what they pick, what's their favorite map, what weaknesses of them can you identify. Those things are so important to know.
Okay. Awesome.
Solid agree.
So like during the replay process, and going back to when you watch the replay, and that's how you can fix a lot of the positional mistakes. A lot of the times, the players that are playing don't even know what was going on. They have that wasn't even a thought in their mind. And then like Kubie was saying, you watch the replay and then I could have done that. And that's something that you can even apply to your Hero League games. Yep. And see where was I standing? Where could I have got? I saw him rotate up here. Could I have done this? I could have done that. When you guys are watching replays, do you guys find yourself watching many replays over the course of a block, or do you find yourself watching maybe like 1 or 2 games over the course of the block? What do you guys feel is the most effective method at replay analysis?
Replay analysis is one of those things where as a coach, I can identify the games that I'm like, we need to watch this one. There are a lot of learning opportunities here. Really, it's just you look at those games that you really want to watch and focus on those. You don't necessarily need to watch every single game. The ones where you maybe like, what I like to do are watch games where sometimes games that we won and how could we have won even harder. I think you learn just as much from that than you do from games that you lose, because it allows you to fine tune those processes.
Yeah.
In those rotations, where am I mechanically weak? Where, with this hero, what can I focus on with this hero? You identify a lot of those things when you watch wins too. So, I mean, really just watch. If you feel like there is a lot that you can improve on in a specific replay, whether it's win or lose, watch it.
Yeah, that makes it really interesting for me, and this is what I like about having different styles and everything, is if I had all the resources and time possible, I would say go ahead, absolutely watch every single replay, because you played in that one, and that was your performance, whether good or bad. You should be able to take something away from it. Now, feasibly, probably not possible.
Right.
And add on top of that, if you've got 5 different voices on the team watching a replay, they're going to see 5 different things, and compound that with 5 different learning styles about how I take feedback and how I internalize that information, and then how I transfer that over to practice. It makes it very difficult to have a very smooth VOD review.
Mm-hmm.
So given that, do you think it's at some point going to be advantageous for teams to have a full-time analyst just going through every VOD and saying, you should be focusing on these 4, and here's the points why? and then letting you as coaches take those 4 and then like dig into them for all the additional points you may want to have. Right? Like, is there value to that, or is it you really do remember the ones that you want to focus on, come Monday?
How much are you paying them?
Well, no, I mean, I get, like, let's just pretend, that budget is not a problem here, because I totally that's a completely different thing, and I get that. So let's just pretend budget's not, like, this is someone that loves their job, and they're getting paid decent to sit there and watch VODs all day and say, these are the ones you should focus on. Like, is there value to that? Or is it, like, it's kind of a backwards way of saying, do you see value in adding more staff to a team, I guess?
I personally like analysts. I think they're really useful resources. Yeah, I mean, I would love like a hardcore analyst like that, honestly. That would be great.
You've heard it here. If you want to volunteer to help Kubie out, hit him up on Twitter, folks.
Hit him up. He's looking.
Well, like Hero said, it's like sometimes you have 5 different people that learn 5 different ways that are seeing different things, and that makes it really hard to focus all the time. So like having one person to like look at all of that and to be like, okay, I see this and this consistently, let's bring these things up and see, what we can do and go from there with identifying these specific points.
No.
This might be a good time to make this point too, just because of VOD review, and we're talking very critically about, analyzing our mistakes and how to correct all these things. Sometimes VOD review is really good for reinforcement too. We did this really well. And sometimes you can use VOD reviews and some of those to highlight the good things that you do, and then again, how to do those even better. So, making sure that you strike that balance of, I guess, here's some remediate kind of feedback, and then having that reinforcement type of feedback as well.
That's a really good point. Counterbalancing positive and negative reinforcement is so important for not only to keep someone's ego in check, but also to they realize I don't make mistakes all the time. I do these things really well, and that's where their confidence starts to build as a player, and that's really important and powerful for just any, in any aspect of life, to know that you don't completely suck at everything.
That's awesome. Just so you don't suck.
So, before we move on to the next question, for all those aspiring, NGS teams, open division teams, or whatever, when it comes to VOD review, what's one thing from each of you that, I guess, one factor to look at when choosing the specific VOD that you wanna look at as a team?
I think that's a really loaded question, because for me there's a lot of different things.
Just give me one.
The biggest thing that I like to look at, it's like, even when I'm looking at my own replays, like from a Hero League game, because I'm an offlaner. That's what I do. Like, if I feel like if there was like a rotation that I messed up really badly, and I did it consistently throughout that game, let's look at it. Or if I did it really well during that game and messed up, like, say, positioning somehow, like, let's look at that. Like, for me, there are a lot of different factors.
Okay.
How do we get to the core?
No, that's it. But like, that's the question, right? Like, that is the most critical aspect, right? What's my win condition?
That's the game
condition, right?
That's the whole game.
Yeah. Well, what are the things that I do when looking, at replays? Which ones we can look at, we can learn a lot from, given, we have very limited time, right, on top of our daily lives and scrims and all that. One of the ones that I try to look for from time to time is like, oh, hey, this game was a stomp. We stomped, okay, but it took us 24 minutes. Where
Right.
can we go? Where can we go in and, you know, trim some stuff down? Where can we look to get more value? Where can we look to push an advantage that we had gained, that we had, to make those games last or end quicker? Is that a compositional thing? Is that decision making? You know, that's just one thing that I look at when thinking about it.
That's one thing that currently I'm doing a bronze to master grind on the coach account.
Ooh.
And I think the biggest thing that I have noticed, that you will notice going through the ranks, is recognition of win condition. That is I think the number one thing that is very weak at bronze level and is very strong at master and higher. They recognize when they can get away with going core. You know,
Right.
maybe they got that one critical kill on the hero that would have been, you know, that would have pushed them off of the core, but they got that kill, so now they can just go in and go for the win.
Right. Okay. Red-blooded Canuck, I'm not sure how that works, but I'm going with it, asks, how do you best foster in-game communication and chat calling? Are you guys waiting for each other?
I've been letting Kubie go first the whole time.
I know.
I don't mind. I don't mind.
I think you get to go
you
first
go
this time,
first,
Hero.
All right. All right. Maybe I'll give you guys some more trade secrets.
Give it, baby.
Right at the very beginning, as a way to build team cohesion and as a way for me to kind of assess where the team was at, I took them into the training grounds. Well, not the training grounds. It was the sandbox.
Yep.
And I ran some drills with them. Some of it was just simple combos, like run this wombo. Some of it later became me drawing up a play and saying, run this rotation, and by 3 minutes, we should be here. So after running that over and over and over and over again, to the point where eventually we stopped because we no longer needed to do that. But it would be communicate your cooldowns, communicate your rotation, let me hear it. Does everybody have it up? Blah, blah, blah. And eventually it got to the point where the guys are like, okay, we've done this enough. Like, this is almost too easy now.
Right.
And that was fair enough. That was okay. Now you guys have proven to me that this is the level that we're at. Good. Let's focus on the big things. We don't have to worry about communication anymore.
Okay. Kubie?
No, communication is so important. I mean, just for any player out there, I think the two roles that you'll notice are the biggest for there's really three roles that stick out to me as like the most communicative roles that you need. That's offlaner, warrior, and support. Especially, let's use like Uther as an example. Communication on him is extremely important because his heals have a large cooldown.
Yeah.
If those aren't up, you can't fight, like straight up.
Yeah.
So knowing when you have that is huge. And yeah.
Okay.
But I shouldn't say communication is no longer an issue. Communication is always something you work on because some days you have high energy, some days you're a little bit lower on energy, and it shows in your comms. It really does. So the challenge is to make your default high energy comms. That should be your default, is that even when I'm not feeling good, it's just automatic. I've made this habitual. I call my cooldowns. I call my position. I call MIA in lane. I call all these things, and it just becomes a habit that, even if you're feeling like it's a low energy day, it's still something you just do.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Okay. We're almost done. I promise. We only have 3 questions left. What are some ways to deal with toxic or negative attitude mindset from a coach manager position? And that's from Slug Hunter, manager of
young Slug
of King's Gambit.
That is a good one. Toxicity always has a root. If you can find it and you can figure out what is causing it and how to best alleviate the situation that's causing it, that's to me, that's how you get rid of it.
Okay.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Find the root of the problem.
I think Short Steve is still probably trying to figure out how to get rid of Toxic Hero. He just doesn't know what to do anymore. I don't know. I think if you're looking for a coach or a manager, before you make that decision, you're gonna hopefully choose somebody that you've done your due diligence on, and this is the person that you want involved in your growth and in helping you pursue your goals and your dreams. If they somehow turn toxic, and that's something that you didn't account for or couldn't see coming, I mean that comes down to conflict management, and you're going to deal with that in every aspect of life. That comes down to interpersonal skills, one-on-ones. It's got to be something done between the people that it's affecting. Sometimes you need a mediator, sometimes you need that impartial third party to help you out, but if you want a good working relationship, has to be addressed.
Okay.
Yep. Or sometimes you need daddy to call you a dumbass, slap you in the back of the head, and that's it.
On. Yeah.
Yeah.
It happens.
No, I find that promoting and encouraging communication outside of the game, having discussions and establishing that trust within each other and the team tends to help resolve a lot of the toxicity and almost, I don't want to say eliminate it, because I mean, someone's going to get salty about something, right? But if everyone has the trust in each other to approach the individual and be like, hey man, this is what I was thinking, what was going on, what are you thinking, what's the common ground we can find here, and encouraging that mentality and that culture that we had talked about earlier. You tend to find that the toxicity kind of it's becomes a little easier to manage. And hey, the guys are the players are trusting each other. If they're trusting each other, that reflects in the game. I'm trusting my Uther to land this cleanse. I'm trusting Dahaka to land this tongue. I'm trusting my teammate to miss this mosh pit because that's him, But no, I'm just kidding. But but yeah. So I mean, strong communication and trust, and just trusting that you guys can discuss ideas and come to solutions together. I encourage all my guys. I encourage everybody to do that.
there are a lot of tough things to talk about, when you're a part of a team that can come up, but having the respect and that relationship between the team members and between yourself and the team members really, really help you to get through those situations and come out as a stronger team.
Yeah.
Maybe another analogy, like between you and your best friend, if your best friend does something really, really dumb and you were not a fan of it, you're not going to say, man, I hate my best friend, garbage, toxic. It's going to be like, you know what, I'm upset at the thing that you did, right? And it's not that I think you're a garbage human being now. It's just that whatever you did in that moment wasn't good. Can we not do that anymore? And they're still your best friend. Same with Hots. They're still your teammate. It's just, that thing you did over there, could we not?
Yep.
Yeah. That makes sense.
D-Rec and Hots wants to know, how do you stop your coach from flaming you?
Can we redirect that one to Goon Hots?
Yeah.
Redirect.
Easy. Get good.
Get good. I got you actually. I think I got you. There you go, buddy. All right. So San asks, do you guys feel like the current OD Crucible system is working well? Is it fair? What should be changed to improve it if you don't believe it?
I have a big opinion on this. So I would like to see more incentive for players to really commit to the open division. That is going to up the skill level significantly if those players are able to spend more time on the game, do what they need to do to improve to get on that level to where they can go up against professional teams and possibly take their spot. Whether that's, how that happens, I don't have a good solution, but I think the open division definitely needs more support to really thrive and become like, you're like a really, not that it's not important, but like, how do I want to say this? Like,
Help him out,
really,
Hero.
really strong. Like every season is competitive. Every you got
So
Crucible matches that are always neck and neck. Like those are the kind of open divisions and crucibles that I'd like to see.
Yeah.
are you looking for like more consistency week to week in the open division then to get you there? Or is it you just feel like there needs to be players that really want to move through the open division to get into HGC?
I'm almost thinking at like almost somewhat of a compensation level
Okay.
for them to be able to put in the time that they need to really be to be sharp for these matches. I mean,
So that's actually a good point. Okay, so Faye didn't compete in open division because it wasn't, she couldn't work and do open division enough that she felt like she could focus enough and give it the amount of work she felt it deserved, right? And that's strictly coming from okay, well, if you think about it, if you happen to win, you get $500, so each person gets $100. Like, yeah, that's nothing, right? Like, that legitimately doesn't even cover the cost of the time it took them to compete in the open division that week. It's like $4 an hour or something like that. It works out like it's insanely low, right? So no, okay, I get where you're trying to go with that. That makes sense.
Yeah, you just need to be able to put in that time, right? And like, if you don't have some sort of backing, like being realistic, if you don't have some sort of backing behind that,
Right.
you just can't.
Right.
Yeah.
No matter like even if you like have a lot of time to put into it, it's never going to feel like it's enough. At least when I was trying to go through the open division as a player, it never felt like it was enough time.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I think the question you have to kind of split it up is open division or the Crucible system working well? What's the goal of it? The goal of it is to try to bring an amateur team or a professional amateur team into the professional league, into the premier division. Has that happened? Yeah, a few times.
Yep.
It's actually happened a few times where Crucible teams have made it through the open division and gotten into the HGC. If you're going to take a percentage of that or a number of teams that have made it that way, is the open division or Crucible working? Yeah, there's been some infusion of new talent into it, or maybe recycled talent, depending on how you look at it.
Right.
And is it working that way? Probably. I think so, to some degree. Is it working as a showcase for potential talent out there? I think so too. You can tune into these tournaments every week and you can watch these players and you can see multiple games. If they continue to be successful, they get more screen time and you can scout these guys out. So is open division and Crucible working well? In some ways, I think it is. In a lot of ways, it's really not working for a lot of people who probably have the potential to make it into the HGC, but just can't commit their own resources, their own time to make it. And so in that way, and maybe I'm answering the fourth questions. Is it fair, and what might be improved? Right. I think you guys have probably touched on some of those points.
Okay. All right. Last question, and this is a good one. This one was interesting. This was also Twitch chat. Moops9 asked this. Throughout the phase, players' commitment to the grind varies, creating an imbalance in time investment. How do you manage players slacking so that everyone feels like they're putting in the same amount of effort?
Well, I mean, honestly, I'll give a little bit away of what I do.
All right.
So I have a minimum requirement for personal practice every day. So it's not anything crazy. It's something that everyone is able to meet. And it's something that we discussed that everyone thought was fair. And that's where that threshold lies. if everyone is meeting those requirements, everyone feels like that they're putting in the time, and no one feels like anyone's slacking.
Okay. I have a question for you. Following up on that, and then we'll get to Hero's answer. If 3/5 of the team are doing that minimum amount of time, and 2/5 of the team are like doubling it because one of them's name is Jay Street and he just doesn't know how to play, does that create any issues, or like is everybody like, oh, it's cool, he's just insane?
Yeah, like I said, setting. Yes, he plays a lot. Everyone knows. But like I said, it's a conversation. When you talk about setting requirements, you talk to them as a team. Are you guys comfortable with this being the minimum requirement, that you feel like everyone has put in the time, that they need to be successful, to keep up their mechanical skill, to work on everything that they need to work on? And if that answer is yes, then there's no reason why it should ever get to that point. But if there is, that's a different conversation.
Okay, fair enough. Hero?
Same. I mean, some teams have contracts, right? This is the minimum. I treat the guys as mature young adults. They're all grown young men. Swabs went to prom, so he's kind of made that rite of passage. You have to trust them all to take responsibility. They're receiving a salary for this, right? It may or may not be written in their contract somewhere that they have to play HOTS. But for us as coaches, what we can do is direct them towards more directed practice. They could put in 100 hours, and some of that might just be them putting in 100 hours to check the box saying, I did 100 hours. I'm not saying 100 hours was the number. I'm just using it.
Yep.
But what if I could say, hey, you actually really only need to work on 1, 2, and 3 heroes because this is what we'll be playing next week, and we're pretty sure that this is what we're going to run. And now we've cut that 100 hours down into 30, and now they're taking care of themselves outside the game a little bit more too. At the end of the day, as long as they are practicing and doing it for their well-being, every player's commitment, you're reevaluating it constantly. Again, you do that preseason, midseason, postseason, one-on-ones to make sure that, hey, they are still motivated. They understand what they need to work on. And if you give them some direction, then it's more likely that, internally they'll want to make these practice changes. If there are external kind of rewards, like, hey, if you don't, I guess maybe it's the positive. It's like, hey, if you practice 100 hours, here's $100, right? Something like that. You got to make sure that, hey, if you practice these heroes, we have a better chance of winning. And then when you get that win, right, even better.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, those, and in the case of maybe someone slacking, that's the kind of conversation that you can have with them is, we really need you to practice because this. It's not because, I just want you to play the game. It's because we need you to practice these specific heroes and practice these specific things. And you are only going to improve on this if you work on it outside of scrims.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I guess the idea of slacking too is just that sometimes we have different perceptions of how much work is required and how much is necessary. Like if I think five hours is good, but you think 30 hours is good, well, we're pretty far away from each other. Scheduling is a big difference. What is actually feasible? I mean, at the end of the day, there is a set number. You take basketball again, for example. I should probably put up at least 100 shots a day. I should probably dribble a ball for at least some period of time. I should probably run up and down the court a few times.
Right.
There are some of those minimums that you can't escape from. But slacking, you can divide it in a few different ways. Maybe it's just flat out not playing. I mean, that deserves a one-on-one conversation for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cool. Okay. We are going to jump into the Crucible.
We're going to see Stitch's fall as well. It's going to be a 1-for-1 trade. It's the 1-for-1 trade as we once again have the Dragon Blade used on the side of Genji's Triton Engine. Dashes on sail yellow.
That was just about the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life.
It's a dance party and you're invited.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to HGC Western Clash.
All right. So we're back. We're going to go over the results of the 3 Crucibles that happened this weekend. Starting with Korea, we had 2 matches. With 5 L's, crazy team name. Going down 1-4 to Team Feliz. Feliz, played way more dominant than I expected them to be. I expected this match to actually be closer. I expected it to be more like the next one, which was Master Theater winning 4-2 over Team Ace. So Team Ace is now out of the Korean scene, and Master Theater has now moved in and taken their spot. So we did have one team get replaced this roll around. And then over in EU, this was crazy to me. I don't know if you guys caught these games because I know you were focused on your own thing, which I totally understand. Both Granite Gaming and Worst Positioning lost to their respective HGC Premier League teams. Granite Gaming to Leftovers and Worst Positioning to Diamond Skin, 4-1 in both cases. And the 2 HGC Premier teams actually looked pretty solid this time around in the Crucible. So that surprised me. I expected both of them to actually put up a harder fight and make it come down to the wire, but not so much in EU. I don't know. Did you guys get a chance to catch those games, or were you still focused on your sets? Which I totally understand if that's where it was.
I did see a few of them. My personal opinion on EU is the EU teams are incredibly competitive. Throughout all of, I think, the first split, it was neck and neck. The scores were very close between the top and bottom teams. It was, I think the teams in EU are all very highly competitive, and trying to break one of those teams to take their spot is going to be very difficult.
Okay.
Yeah, I did catch a few of those series, and they did feel quite one-sided, but still entertaining. I mean, I love watching EU. Korea, I haven't caught up on yet, but I guess full spoilers already. I'll probably go back and watch those at some point. Yeah.
No, I was gonna ask. Go ahead, LiQuid.
Let me hit the scores and then you can ask. All right. So then in NA, for those of you who didn't pay attention, XD went down to LFM eSports 2-4. But competitive matches. LFM actually looked.
I thought we stomped them.
Hey,
just kidding. Respect to XD. They actually played really well.
It was competitive, but you guys.
Yeah, very much.
What I was gonna say is you guys looked more on the same page than you have. Like you're on the same trajectory, I guess that's the way I want to describe it. So you continue to look like you're improving and clicking better and better as a team every time I see you guys play now. And then we had King's Gambit really, really trying to take No Tomorrow out, losing 3-4, which it was a nail biter, man. I'm not gonna lie. I was on the edge of my seat through that whole series. So
I think I'm pretty certain that we have the most exciting Crucible match in all of HGC history so far. It was
no bias. No bias.
No bias.
No bias.
It was intense. No matter what else, it was intense. All right, Goon, you had a question about it. Go ahead.
Yeah, so this is the culmination of everything we've been talking about, all the coach talk, all the you guys, you played your season, you're in the Crucible. What do you guys tell your players? What do you tell your team? What are you doing to help keep them motivated? What part did you have in the success of these of your teams, of your respective teams? What did you guys tell them? How do they respond, react? I want to know what went down and how that translates going forward into this next season.
I think for me the biggest thing that I can do, I'm even though I am a coach, I'm not a very big motivational speaker kind of person. I'm very focused on, okay, so this happened, we can't change it, let's move forward, and keep them focused on the task at hand. For the way that I do things, you can't change the past, you can only shape your future, and that's something that I bring with me to everything that I do in life. So keeping them focused on, okay, we got to win this game. Now we got to win this game. It's 3-3. Now we got to win this game so we keep our jobs, you know? That's the kind of mentality you have to go into it. In the Crucible is if you freak out as a coach, they're going to freak out too. So you have to be the one to keep them level-headed and focused.
I said, can we draft Genji for Traded? And if we can't, can we put the bot on it?
Oh, God. Oh, God. We're done here. We're done
That's
here.
it. There you go, man. There you go. So wait, I do have a question. So on stream, they're like, yeah, he ran over to a friend's house. Like, how stressed was he during that whole situation? Like,
okay, so what actually happened? There's internet outage. This is like pretty much public. There's internet outage. He was about to leave his house, and the internet came back on. So he was prepared to drive 20 minutes to get to someone else's, but he ended up sticking around. So his internet came back on. Things were good. We were able to move on. So that's the worst time. We had 0 internet problems throughout the entire week, and then all of a sudden, no big deal, just the Crucible. His internet
it's all
goes
on
out.
the line, right?
No big deal. So I mean, the guys were not sure what to do. They were in constant contact with the admins, and you know, we tried to resolve the problem as soon as possible. And I mean, thankfully things worked out, and he was able to play in a comfortable location.
Awesome.
But going back to the question, let's get down to the nitty gritty, dude. You ain't getting away from me. You ain't getting away from me.
Okay, so what did I tell the team? I think every coach's preparation is both internal and external. One, looking at the team. What do we need to work on? What are our weaknesses? The other one is looking at the other team. What are they good at? What can't they do? So you get all that logistical stuff out of the way, right? I do my coach's duty. This is what they're going to do. This is what we're going to do. You bring that back to the team. Team, can we do this? Team says yes. I say, I believe. They say we believe, and then we go and do it. The team was I think I was lucky that, you know, all the players were, I'm going to say 100% confident. They were very, very confident that between our own Crucible performance and our time in HGC, we have grown so much. We are no longer the same team that we were coming into the HGC. The guys 100% acknowledge that we're better players now. We're a better team now. We are an HGC team. We have to go out there and prove it.
Yeah, I completely agree. You guys are different. 100%. Yeah.
What? So for both of you guys, again, what does this mean going forward? How you came all the way to the end of the world. You won. You killed the I don't know. You killed the monster, and you're going back home. What does this mean? How does this what does this mean for you as a coach, for the org, for the players? Do you feel like invincible, or do you feel like now like number one is we're going to be number one? We're going to be, you know, at BlizzCon. Like, I'm curious. Is there renewed strength? Is there renewed motivation in the players, in their coach to succeed? Anybody? Come on.
They both look like
I'm no DJB kid, but I mean we don't want to be back to back. We believe we're top 4, so we're gonna get out of here. We can get out of here.
Yeah, why couldn't you have said that when we said, do you think you can top 4? Yeah, we believe we're top 4 and move on. Kubie?
I mean, like I said, I've got some really talented players. I know that the sky's the limit, and I'm really excited to see Jin's growth.
Awesome.
Because he kind of just got thrown.
Hold on, wait.
Thrown in there.
Yeah.
Hold on, because that's a little nugget of something. If you're excited to see Jin's growth, I think that implies something. I feel like it does.
What would you think that it implies?
I feel like that implies that Jin's not going anywhere. That's what I feel like that implies. You can't see his growth.
Or maybe Jin and Kubie are going somewhere.
Yeah. I don't get anything.
I got you.
You can't
all right.
anything from that.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. All right. Okay, so I know you guys aren't in mid-season brawl, but it's coming up, and we're going to, after this weekend, find out who the ANZ Copa America contestant is going to be, that minor region team. On the 12th, we have the ANZ teams playing Mind Freak and Crimson Gaming. They actually tweeted out, Mind Freak tweeted out yesterday they were on the plane heading down to Rio. We also have the Copa America teams Fat Rez and Encore playing on the 12th. And then the winners of those two series will meet on the 13th in a single best of 7 to determine who gets to go to midseason brawl. And the winner of that will be stuck in Group A with, like, the one place you probably don't want to be. So, I like to encourage everybody to watch the minor regions as much as they can, because I feel like sometimes those are overlooked, even though they're not as competitive as the major regions. Will you guys, besides me, will the other 3 of you be watching those minor region games this weekend?
There is some fire. There is some dedication. There is some passion in Latin America. I'm a little biased towards Latin America as a minor region. And I'm excited to see what comes out of Latin America at the midseason brawl and Latin America in the future. I want to see more growth. I want to see there's so much potential there, and I want to see it come to fruition. And I want to see, some more, Jay Shrite stuff, some more Jay Shrite stories, or even, hey, all of a sudden Latin America is just one of the major regions. And that's how it is.
I don't know if that's going to happen, but
you never know.
You're right.
It might take some time, but it's there. It's there. They just need the support, and we can definitely give it to them.
As a coach and also as someone who loves to analyze games, I definitely like watching, all of those series. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be watching.
Yeah, we definitely have problems. We're just like addicted to HOTS, and like if we're not watching, we're playing. We're not playing. We're looking it up and we're reading about it. I mean, for sure, we're gonna be watching this stuff. Watching other regions is where you get some ideas too, and when we ever get to an international tournament, then we'll at least have some idea of who the teams are out there and what they like to play. You're always keeping a bit of an eye out there for some inspiration. But I mean, like I said before, I'm a fan first. So watching these other teams compete, that's exciting to me. That's fun for me. So I'll definitely throw it up on the big screen.
Right, and let it play. It's how you have to. Also, to compete with that, on the 12th, Heroic 4, Heroes of the Dorm. Anyone?
Oh, my boys at Kentucky are going 100%.
Thank you. I thought I was the only one calling for Kentucky. Everybody else is like, no, Kentucky's out. Hold on.
I was on a team with them at one point, so I know what they're capable of. So they're all very talented.
My boy Wolf, Peekaboo.
Right.
You got it, Bubba. You got it. I believe
they're a solid team. So definitely check out Heroes of the Dorm. Heroic 4 starting May 12th.
I mean, like, Cure came from Dorm too. You never know. Yeah, you never know what's coming out of Dorm.
So it's interesting though. Hold on, because now I need to bring this back up, because now you just got me thinking about something. Hold on, because now I'm like, wait a minute. Now I'm questioning dates in my head, but I feel like Dorm ending on the 12th is still enough time for pick up Dorm players at the end, right? Because the pickup phase is the 15th to 22nd. I think Dorm ends this weekend, so might we see? Now, to be fair, a lot of the higher end Dorm teams are also open teams who have also been playing there. So
or they're players that are just very, very good at the game as well.
Right. So yeah, this could make for a very interesting discussion next week when we go over maybe who's going where.
This off season, as far as like open tryouts with all the potential that's in dorms, open division, I think it's going to be very healthy for the scene. A lot of people are going to get their chance. A lot of people are going to get their name out there.
Yeah.
A lot of eye emojis going to be flying around everywhere. And
damn you, traded.
But I'm excited. I'm excited. We can't only up from here, baby. Going up from here.
Like I said, NA is probably the most competitive it's ever been, as far as just the raw amount of talent that's out there. I mean, it's very possible there are a lot of open division players can make it into the HGC through tryouts. It's very possible.
Hopefully.
Yep. Out with the old, in with the new.
Yeah, I think the only thing that people would want is maybe more time in this window so that, you could actually see all of this talent. Again, there's only so many hours in a day. Can't try them all.
Yeah.
No.
Yep.
Yeah,
all right.
That would be nice.
All right. I think we've reached the end. You guys have any parting thoughts? You don't have to do shout outs yet. I got that covered. But any parting thoughts that you want to share about being a coach in HGC? And no is okay.
Aspiring. For the aspiring coaches, what do you got for them?
I mean, I've said a lot of like my things I do for coaching already. I mean, build that environment for your team. Build that trust within the members and within you, and build a good environment for them to learn and grow. Really, you have to focus on that a lot as a coach.
I think that's a nice way of saying go back and watch the whole episode. There's definitely stuff for you.
I got you.
Hero?
You get what you put in. That goes for everything. Like I was into HOTS before this was even a possibility. It never crossed my mind to be a coach. I just wanted to play. Oh wait, I can cast and talk about other people playing. Yeah, I'm going to do that too. I'm going to talk about other people playing, and then I can go study other people playing, and then eventually it turned into coach. And so, it started from just pure interest, pure passion. Still is. Love it. Love being involved. People can hit me up anytime. Love talking about HOTS. Love watching HOTS together. I think it's just a dream come true, and just enjoy it. If you are willing to pursue it, just enjoy it and just put in whatever you want to get out of it.
I feel like you left the retirement. The little retirement.
Oh, I retired and then I came back.
Because it was like, I can't do that. I'm going to go do something else. I'm done casting. And then like a month later, it's like, he's back. It's like, wait a minute, what? What just happened?
Heroes took over my life, and it just, I tried to quit, and we had this moment where it's like, I can't quit you, and I came back.
Man.
I don't know, for me, like, I'm heavily invested at this point. Like, eSports is like, basically, it's my life right now, so.
All in.
Yep, exactly.
You have to, right? You have to.
Yep, playing, studying games, watching games, like everything.
Yeah.
Love what you do, and you'll do well at it.
Yes, absolutely. All right, I think we'll end there. That's a really nice high note to end on. So thank you all for listening to Trollin HGC, a weekly podcast about Heroes of the Storm eSports, a member of the Trolls.gg Entertainment Network. We stream live on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Trolls, every week on Tuesdays at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Pacific. HeroPhysio, do you have any shout outs you want to throw out there?
Yeah, for sure. LFM Esports for giving me a chance, the opportunity. Every single one of the players for working with me and showing up. Shout outs to Twitch chat for the love, the hate. It helped us get through everything together. Shout out to you guys. Back again on Trollin HGC. Definitely not my first time. Hopefully not my last, but you guys put on good content for the community. And I think just shout out to everybody that supports HOTS. Not necessarily just me. I think if you're out there supporting other content creators, other streamers, other teams, other amateur players out there, definitely big thank you to everybody. And again, thanks to even all the Crucible teams, XD, I definitely should give them a shout out because they really did put up a good fight against us, and without them there isn't a show. You guys have to thank the other side, so thank you to everyone.
Awesome. Kubie.
Shout outs to my team for for not only coming out of the Crucible in one piece, but putting on like the most intense series that I've probably ever watched in HOTS. They all, deserve praise and recognition for how hard they work to make that happen. It was awe-inspiring to watch. Thank you for everyone who supported us, even through our rough times. It really means a lot. Shout out to you guys for putting on this. This has been really fun, actually.
Awesome.
I didn't know what to expect. This is my first time being on a podcast for HOT, so thank you.
No problem. Goon, you're up.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at GoonHots. You'll see my shit posting there. I'm always retweeting stuff from the community in the amateur scene. I love the amateur scene. I'm invested in that. I want to see growth there. I also stream at twitch.tv/GoonHots. I do replay analyses, coaching segments with different members of the community. I cast the Bush League. If you don't know what that is, look into it, but don't tell Blizzard. I also I do that. Do some do casting there. I cast pickup games with the community there. But yeah.
Nice. All right, and I can be found on Twitter at LiQuidGG. That's LiQiuDGG. I tweet whenever I'm going to do something, which usually ends up being just this show lately. Personal or professional and personal life, been really busy. So, but I still have time to watch all the games, and I still have time to put this show on. And thank you, all of you people that love to listen and watch. Like, I appreciate you guys. We do this show because we love doing it, but we're happy that other people are listening and watching the show as well. I think I'm just going to end it there. I'm not going to go into my whole spiel this time. Thank you to our chieftain, Super Dave, who is the chieftain over at patreon.com. So he gets his shout out. Otherwise, follow us on Twitter at Trollin HGC and check out our website, trolls.gg. Thank you, Twitch chat, for being entertaining as always. And thank you, Twitch chat and Reddit, for questions that we could ask HeroPhysio and Kubie.
Appreciate every single one of you guys out there. Really do.
Yep. And thank you guys for being on the show. It was a blast. I always love talking to coaches, so thank you for that.
It was fun.
Awesome. Everybody
thanks,
have
guys.
a great night, and you'll probably see some of us in the Nexus.